January 14th, I've been joined by council members Fry, Warsami, Quincy, Kano, and Reich, which is the entire committee. We have a very brief agenda, starting with our public hearings. I will note there are 3 items on the consent agenda. Item number 6 is recommended for approval. Items by Mr. Wilson's staff. Item 7 is accepting a grant from the Met Council from their local housing incentive fund. And item number 8 is setting a public hearing for January 20th, amending provisions regulated to sampling. Are there any questions on items 6, 7, or 8? Seeing none, I'll move approval of the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Those items are approved. We'll then move on to our public hearing item. We have 5 public hearings, starting with item number 1. Mr. Wilson, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Our first public hearing is regarding an application for an on-sale wine license Class C1 for Carboni's Pizza. They are literally moving across Cedar Avenue from the west side to the east side in a new building that they bought. They are upgrading their entertainment from Class E to Class C1. They've partnered with the Minnesota Bluegrass Association to provide live acoustic bluegrass 1 to 3 nights a week. The owners of that are Dan Magnuson and Jessica Magnuson. A public hearing is required for the move. We did a large mailing of all residents and property owners within 600 feet. We received 5 responses to that mailing, all in support of this application, and staff recommends that you approve this application.
Are there any questions for staff on item number 1? Seeing none, I'll open the public hearing on item number 1, which is a new business license for Carboni's Pizza on the Parkway. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm delighted to move approval of this item, although I do want to make a point of saying I'm disappointed that they're leaving the 11th ward and going to the 12th ward. So that across Cedar Avenue is a big political border, but other than that, we're great with that business. They've been terrific partners to the city for so many years. So we're looking forward to their continued operations across the street. Thank you.
Further comments or questions? Seeing none on Councilmember Quincy's motion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. On to item number 2, Cork Door Wine Company. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair and committee members. Cork Door Wine is in the same situation as Carboni's. They are moving directly across Cedar Avenue into the same building that Carboni's has purchased. So they are moving directly across the street with their off-sale liquor license. That's business. Cork Door is owned by Russell and Stacy Fay. A public hearing was required for this move. We did notify all residents and property owners within 600 feet. We received 3 responses and all were in support. They meet all requirements of the ordinances and staff recommends that you approve it.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 2? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 2. This is a new business, Cork Door Wine and Company. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Quincy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The same disappointment goes with this one, but again, a terrific business. The world's smallest warehouse liquor store. It's moving across the street, so I'm happy to move approval of this item.
Item number 2 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to item number 3, the Himalayan Restaurant. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Himalayan Restaurant is seeking a new on-sale wine license, Class E with strong beer, to be located at 2910 East Lake Street. This was a restaurant before. It had been a long time operated as Kong's Cafe and Bakery at that address, and they did not have any beverage alcohol at that location. Naveen and Pravin Sharitha are the owners of this business. A public hearing is required for this license, and we did notify 172 notices went out to all residents and property owners within 600 feet. We received 6 responses from that mailing. All 6 are in support. Staff recommends that you approve this license.
Are there any questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 3? Seeing none, we'll open the public hearing on item number 3, which is a new business application for the Himalayan restaurants. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Kano. Approval has been moved of item number 3. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to item number 4, Red Cow. Bless you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have an application by Black Diamond Incorporated doing business as Red Cow for an on-sale liquor Class E license, which means no live entertainment, at 103 2nd Street North. This is a new business. This is to be located in newly constructed space, part of a 106-unit mixed-unit building there. Principal owners are Teresa Bashul and Luke Schimp. They plan to offer full breakfast, lunch, and dinner at this restaurant. We notified all residents and property owners within 450 feet of the application location. Thus far, we have received no responses. They appear to meet all the requirements of our codes, and staff recommends approval.
Are there any questions on item number 4 for Mr. Wilson? Seeing none, thank you for your report. We'll open the public hearing on item number 4, which is a new business application for Red Cow. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Please step forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name's Maria Castagnaro. I live at the residential space connected to Red Cow. I just have a couple questions regarding what precautions will be taken as far as soundproofing for the residents that are connected to the space, as well as hours of operation.
Okay, this isn't a give and take, but we'll ask the applicant to come back, and I will ask the applicant to step forward and see if he can answer those questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Luke Schimp with Red Cow. So to answer your question, hours of operation will be 11 a.m. to 1 a.m. Monday through Friday, and then 9 a.m. to 1 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday. Soundproofing, we've actually applied, I think it's called a K13. It's an application that goes up in the ceiling.
Mr. Luke Schimp, address us.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Because the camera's looking at you,
No
and
problem.
now it's looking at the back of you.
No problem. So we've applied a solution called K13. It's a soundproofing decibel reduction type of material that has covered the whole existing ceiling of the building. And then plus we've also installed some other sound deadening materials to also help out with that. And then as far as patio goes, patio will be open. I think I proposed in the application to close the patio at midnight, and obviously we'll address any concerns if there are noise concerns from the residents or the building property owners and managers. If there's issues, we'll adjust our hours accordingly to make it a harmonious venture with all involved.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to say while you're up?
No. Currently it's our third Red Cow. We have one in Minneapolis currently. It's been open almost 2 years, and then a second one in St. Paul that opened this summer. Typical neighborhood establishment, very much a restaurant, not a bar, but we do serve beer, wine, and spirits, and that's it.
Okay, great. Is there anyone else here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Fry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm excited to move approval of this item. I've been wanting to go there for quite some time, and so happy to welcome you to the neighborhood over in North Loop, and we'll also make sure to continue working with the owners and the managers to ensure that sound is not a major issue. Move approval of this item.
Approval has been moved of item number 4. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll move on to our last item, which is item number 5, Royal Hall Masika. Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Lake Plaza Event Center Incorporated, doing business as Royal Hall Mikasa, is located at 417 East Lake Street. They are seeking an on-sale liquor license with Sunday sales, Class B entertainment, to be operated in conjunction with a event center and rental hall. They are currently a rental hall now without beverage alcohol. The principal owner, or the sole owner, is Oscar Reyes Ocampo, and he has owned and operated the Las Majadas restaurant in Minneapolis since 2008. Public hearing is required for this application. 182 notices were mailed to all residents and property owners within 600 feet. On December 29th, we received only one response from that mailing, and that one response is in support. Staff believes they meet all of the requirements of our codes, and we recommend approval.
Are there questions for Mr. Wilson on item number 5? Seeing none, this is a public hearing on item number 5 for a new business license for Royal Hall Mikasa. Is there anyone here to speak to this issue? Anyone? Anyone? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing. Councilmember Kano.
Thank you. I would like to move this item forward.
Item number 5 has been moved for approval. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? That item is approved. We'll then move on to our remaining item, which is item number 9, authorizing a contract with Hargraves Associate for the design of the downtown East Commons in an amount not to exceed $1.8 million. Mr. Schaefer, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Goodman and committee members. It's my excitement. I'm excited to be here before you today to with this request for council action to authorize the city staff to enter into a contract with Hargraves and Associates for the design of these downtown East Commons. This builds on a lot of several past city council actions. Back in July 2013, the city council authorized staff to negotiate a term sheet with Ryan Companies and the Minnesota Sports Facility Authority to further downtown East development process. In October, the city of 2013, the city council established the park committee to formulate a vision and design principles for the park. These were completed in August of 2014 and have been used in the RFP process and will be used going forward to guide the development of the park, of the commons. In December 2013, the city council approved a term sheet with Ryan Companies and the MSFA for the Downtown East project. And then in this past December in 2014, there was an MOU with the Minneapolis Park and Recreation Board providing for the conveyance and leaseback of the commons. So there's a mountain of momentum that has been built on and based on the actions that you have provided the staff with. In September 2014, the city issued an RFP for a landscape architect-led design firm for the Downtown East Commons to improve it beyond the basic level that is already provided for and financed under the development agreement between Ryan Companies and the city of Minneapolis. 14 teams provided proposals. These teams are listed on pages 2 and 3 of your RCA. The proposals were shortlisted by a city staff team, and a review panel consisting of city officials and stakeholders selected 3 teams to be interviewed. Those interviews were conducted in November, and the review panel made a selection and recommended a selection to the city council to choose Hargrave and Associates. They have a large team and a very talented team. They have a local landscape architect, which is Damon Farber and Associates. They're based in downtown Minneapolis. VJA Architects, which is another local architecture firm, has done several projects in Minneapolis and across the country. And then an architecture firm called Askew, Demez, and Ripple. These are, I think they're a New Orleans-based architecture firm, and they're going to provide insight and configure on the configuration and operations for multi-purpose event space. They really kind of work on building, identifying and carving out that space and making sure it can work in multiple levels. And then there's a series of technical consultants. These are all listed again in your RC on page 3, ranging from economic and operational and finance consultants to structural engineers to lighting engineers. So it's a vast team. The city or the review panel chose Hargraves for several reasons, and a lot of those are identified in your report. I just want to highlight a couple of them. They have a really strong portfolio with relevant experiences across both the nation and internationally. They worked in highly programmed parks like Discovery Green in Houston. They've worked on sports interests such as Cumberland Park, which is outside the Tennessee Titans Stadium in Nashville, and the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in London, which was the home for the 2012 Summer Olympic Games. These parks and all these places have become iconic urban places that have become known and loved by residents and contributing to the city's image. It has successfully delivered many large, complex projects, including projects with the complex programming obligations, which is something that Downtown East Commons has, challenging timelines, again, what Downtown East Commons has, and projects required to endure and accommodate a wide variety of event sizes from huge crowds to individuals on a daily basis. They have a strong team approach with demonstrated understanding of the Downtown East Commons needs and the balance that it needs to strike on many elements.
Additionally, they have a very strong project management process, and they'll be involved through the project, and they recognize the complexity and the fast timeline and the coordination needed with all the partners to develop a design and deliver the commons. Some of the key points of the process moving forward and the contract is to address the complex timelines, is to break the project into 2 phases of delivering. One is what we're calling an opening day commons, and this coincides with the obligations to have a open space and green space prepared by 2016. And that also coincides with the opening of the Viking Stadium, multipurpose stadium. The second phase is the ultimate commons. This is the ultimate build out for the space, and we anticipate that is envisioned to be in place by 2018 for the Super Bowl, so January 2018. In doing that, it presents a really interesting process to move forward. So the initial design process will begin later this month and continue really through the second quarter of 2015. The public engagement process will likely begin in February and continue on through that process, through that timeline and farther on. Somewhere in the second quarter, the schematic design will be delivered and a decision will be made on how you move forward with delivering the opening day commons. This is a smaller set of the full commons, and we'll be making those decisions and bringing that forward in the upcoming months. The ultimate commons design will be further developed over the following year and then likely be back before the City Council in 2016. With that, I'm happy to answer questions in my presentation.
Are there any questions for Mr. Schaefer? Don't all jump up with excitement. No, none? Okay, Councilmember Frye?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will move approval of Hargreaves as the designer for the yard, but first I would just like to comment briefly on why this is hands down, far and away the best pick. First off, Hargreaves was very, very impressive in both their presentation, their experience on the field abroad, as well as their knowledge on the unique characteristics associated with the yard. As was pointed out, they've done Cumberland Park, in I believe Tennessee they did Discovery Green, and I encourage you to just Google some images of it. And the final most impressive one, in my opinion, is Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park in London. Not only is it associated with the stadium, it's nearby or adjacent to a river. They have the experience of putting up and taking down tents, so having movable devices that actually go into the yard is going to be extremely important. And they've found unique ways to make it really a space, a playground, a kitchen for everyone. And those are sort of the characteristics that we're looking for. I mean, there's going to be about 15 trillion different interests that are going to be associated with this yard, whether it's the Vikings or Wells Fargo or Ryan Companies, the City of Minneapolis, the Park Board. So you're going to want to have an entity, a designer that's able to bring it together to ensure that the public gets the maximum both use as well as benefit from it. And I am very confident that Hargreaves will deliver.
Have you moved approval? I have. I'm sorry. Okay, I also just briefly want to speak to this issue. I had the privilege of serving on the panel that did the interviews and selection for Hargreaves and Associates, and I was very impressed. In fact, I would say the committee was pretty much unanimous with regard to its feeling about picking this particular firm. I think we find ourselves in like this kind of chicken and egg scenario. You have to have a design in order to raise the private money needed to move forward. So I support the idea that the city would work with the private sector to collect some of the private resources and reallocate that to paying for the architect. This isn't a question of if we're going to move forward, it's a question of when we're going to move forward. And so because of that, I think we need to have someone on board who can help us with the private fundraising that needs to happen in order to make this park a real asset to the neighborhood and a real success. So I support Councilmember Frye and his efforts on this, and there'll be an implementation team moving forward that I will not be serving on, but I understand Councilmembers Fry and Johnson will be moving forward with this project as time goes on. On Councilmember Fry's motion to approve item number 9, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item is approved. Seeing no further business before us, we are adjourned.